Hey, this is Mr. Ford. I'll be doing the rest of the problems in the EOC practice test that we did not get to on the previous video. Okay, so if you look at number 1, it says the system of inequalities is graphed below. What are the solutions? The solutions are simply anywhere where it crosses. So I know it's going to be at 410 and 7.75. Okay, the next one that we didn't do was this one. It says the table shows the distances that schools will travel to attend a school field trip to the state capital. School 7 has to travel 15 miles. If this outlier is added to the data, which of the following statements is true? Okay, so what we're going to end up having to do is we're going to take all of these data points and we're going to put them in order. So let me write them here. I have 150, 200, 380, 380, 400, and 425. Okay, I then have to find the mean and the median. So if I were to add these all up and divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my mean would be 322.5. Again, to find mean, I add all the values, divide by how many values. And the median is going to be 380. I do that by crossing off until I get to the middle, which is 380. Okay, then it says, well, what happens if I add school number 7 and it has 15 miles traveled? Okay, so then I do the entire thing again. So I write all of this data here. So all of the same data with a 15 out front. So 15, 150, 200, 380, 380, 400, and 425. And the median is still 380, but my mean changes to 278.57. Okay, so the data is less spread. That's obviously not true. The data is more spread. That is true. Both the mean and the median change, not true. There's no change, not true. Okay, there's no change in the spread of data, not true. That's silly, very silly. The median stays the same and the mean changes, that's true. And the median changes and the mean stays the same, that's also not true. Okay, so it's B and F. Okay, the next one we need to do is this one. This is literal equations. So it says which equation is correct for the value of B1. So remember, we're trying to get B1 by itself plus B2 times H. Okay, so what I need to do is do reverse operations or opposite operations. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 first. When I do that, the 1/2 and the 2 will cancel out. So I'm left with 2a equals B1 plus B2 times H. Then the final step is I divide both sides by H, or second to final step. So I have 2a over H. These cross out, so I'm left with B1 plus B2. And my final step, 2a over H minus B2 equals B1, because I subtracted B2 to the other side. So it's going to be B. Okay, the next one says the area and the area in square units of a rectangle is represented by all this stuff. So 6x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x. If the width is 2x, what is the length? Okay, so if this times this equals this, then this divided by this equals this. So I do 6x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x divided by 2x. Okay, so 6x cubed divided by 2x is 3x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3x's on top, 1x on bottom, so I have 2x's on top. Okay, minus 2x squared divided by 2x is just going to be x. And 4x divided by 2x is just going to be 2. So this is my answer to the length. Okay, on to the next one. And this says the quadratic function f of x is shown in the graph above. If the graph of f of x is moved 4 units to the left, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 units down, 1, 2. So it looks like this now. what would be the equation for the new graph in vertex form? So this is to the left 2. So remember, it's like the opposite of what you think it is. So I know it has to be to the left 2, and it goes up 1. So my answer is D. Okay, it says select the word that correctly completes the sentence. The graph g of x will be shifted how many units from the graph of f of x? So here's the f of x, here's g of x, so we go up 5. Okay. Okay, so number 25 says compare f of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 3 and g of x. So this one's f of x, this one's g of x. So it's two different functions here. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to factor this one. So we need two numbers that multiply to -3 but add to -2. So I know it's going to be -3 and +1. Okay, so my function, if you remember right, is going to look like this because it has a positive coefficient. Okay, so I know this one's going to have a minimum. So I know my zeros are going to be at 3, and they're going to be at -1, just like that. Okay, so the next thing here, to find the vertex for the minimum, I do -b over 2a. So -b in this case is going to be 2, and 2a is just going to be 2. So I know my vertex, or my axis of symmetry, is x equals 1. Okay, then I plug 1 back into this to find my minimum. So I get 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. So 1 minus 2 is going to be -1 minus 3, which is -4. So I know I have a minimum at -4. Okay, the next one here. Okay, if I'm looking at g of x, okay, I can see that I have zeros at 3, and I have a 0 at 1, because y is 0, so that's where it crosses. Remember, that's where it crosses the y-axis, so it would be something like that. Okay, so where it crosses at. Okay, so I have zeros at 3, and I have zeros at 1. Okay, and my minimum value is going to be at 2, -1. So you can see that there on the graph, so I have a minimum at -1. And then in neither function was a 0 at 2. Okay, on to the next. Which of the following represent linear functions? Remember, that's the same slope. So I can tell that super easily. Okay, so up here, the difference is -3 each time. So I know A has to be it. D is not, because it divides by 3 every time. Okay, B. Okay, so B, we double it every time, so that's exponential growth. E, we add 1.5 every time, so that could be it. So E. C, we increase by 4 every time, so that could be it. And D, or F, goes up by different amounts each time, so that's 3, that's 5, that's 7, that's 9, so it goes up by different amounts each time, so it cannot be F. Okay, and that is the rest of the problems that we did not cover in the first video. So let me know, or let any of the other 8th grade math teachers know if you have any questions at all.